Okay, well, thank you so much, Cheri, for being Meet a Member Monday for this week. And so I just wanted to give you a little bit of time to tell about your business. And I know you're in Nebraska. And so not very many people that are in this group would be able to come to your facility, but I know you have things that would be of value to everybody, whether they live there or not. So just let me give you some time to introduce yourself and tell us what you're up to.
All right, thanks, Monica. So I am a assisted living memory care director. Uh, I have a community of 34 residents who are all memory care, need memory care assisted living. We provide that, and one of the things that we do really well is provide activities and programming for them that is meaningful to them, they really have an opportunity to enjoy life. Our philosophy is treating people like family is the heart of what we do. And so we take them out. Just because they have memory care issues doesn't mean that they stop living. And
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of folks that have memory problems and have dementia or Alzheimer's or any of that, there's a perception out there that they can't do anything anymore. They need help all the time. Well, that's true. They do need support. Their brain is not working like it's supposed to. They do need support. But that doesn't mean they have to stop living. Still have a lot of abilities, still have a lot of life. And they are, in my opinion, they're the funnest people that are around because you get the real deal. You
Right.
get what they really think.
Right.
So they're really, it's really fun. Um, so I have been with this company for about 5 years. Um, I just became the director. I transferred from being a director in an assisted living with memory care in Hastings, about an hour away, last March, to this memory care only community. So been kind of in this profession for almost 10 years. Um, but then I also am a part of a Townsend Leadership Program, which is a growth leadership program from John Townsend. And people might recognize John Townsend and Henry Cloud. They authored the Boundaries book and lots of books about becoming a healthier person. They're psychologists and are also in the leadership field. So I'm going on I was in it for 4 years and then took a year off. And now I'm in a virtual group, just started this month. So super excited about that. It's same 10 people. We meet once a month for a whole year, and you really go deep. They learn, about you, and you learn about them, and really challenge each other and see who you really are, and they can speak to that and love you and encourage you. His philosophy and model of growth is grace plus truth over time equals growth.
That's
So
cool. Well, that's
it is
why I was
great.
excited. I was excited to feature you this week because I know you are very growth oriented, and just in the short time that I've known you, I can just really, really see that.
Yeah, I do love, always been kind of a junkie for learning and what can I do better and how can I do better. So definitely
Awesome.
that stuff.
Awesome. I know when we talked about what you were going to talk about, did you say there was three things? Is there some?
Oh yeah. So the other thing I do is related to my job, but and that's where I use it. But I am a positive approach to care trainer, and I'm currently in the coach certification. So I'm a certified trainer. Have been a certified trainer for 4 years, and took the class to become a coach in January. And there's a mentoring and kind of having the qualifications and the skills process that takes about 3 months. So I'm in that process of becoming a coach. So then when I get certified with that, I'll be a trainer and a coach for Positive Approach to Care. And what Positive Approach to Care is about is a dementia company teaching people skills and education and ways to provide care with care.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, that you don't have to be in Hastings or in Nebraska for eventually be able to reach out to you for help, no matter where we might
Yeah.
have.
During COVID, I've done 2 or 3 webinars on Zoom, just coaching about and teaching about dementia. So that's something I'm very willing to do and would love to do. And I'm learning how to coach over Zoom too. So who knew we could do these things over Zoom?
I know. Whole new world has opened up.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. Well, just to do something different this week, I had asked for a volunteer to take the Prioritized Leader Assessment. That's a certification that I got last year in the middle of COVID, and I really haven't done a whole lot with it. But I really feel like it's a really great assessment. So I just wanted a volunteer who would be willing to take it, and then we'll just do a real quick debrief. Obviously, you'll see, the rest of the people will see here shortly, that there's a lot to this assessment, and we're just going to spend maybe 20 to 30 minutes max on it. But I mean, it's really a year's worth probably of growth material if you really wanted to dig into it. So just let me talk to everybody else here a little bit before we get started. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read the attachment that explained the 5 priorities that every leader needs to understand and get in the right order in order to be successful when I posted it asking for a volunteer. But if not, you can definitely reach out to me or look for the post in our Leadership Success Facebook group. But I'm now aware of something which unfortunately I wasn't as a franchise owner, that if we're not careful, there can be a huge blind spot when it comes to leaders reaching their full potential. And that blind spot is priorities. And a lack of priorities, lack of alignment around priorities, and a lack of real communication as it relates to priorities. So just a few examples. We've probably all known a business or a business owner or a CEO who says they love their people and that their people come first. But everybody knows that it's all about the bottom line. So what happens over time when you prioritize profit over people is that the best people leave. So, and then what happens in COVID chaos when you're grasping for straws and every new opportunity, every new shiny object, and you go after things that are way outside of your core competency and way outside of your team's gifts and abilities, and you go after things that are just out of the bounds of your skill set. We say you put perception over purpose. So when we don't know what our priorities should be, and in addition, we put them in the wrong order, then at the very least, we unintentionally create a glass ceiling for our organization. Or at the very worst, that misalignment of priorities creates a downward spiral that at some point is really hard to come back from. So I think we would all agree that in order to be successful, we can't afford to get 2021 wrong. It was a rough year in 2020. And the Prioritized Leader Suite walks teams through the 5 essential priorities that if people engage with and find strength and clarity in these priorities and get them in the right order, it sets them up for every success. So Cheri, I'm so glad you agreed to take the assessment. And I have a copy of your report on the screen that I can share. Just let me share here. Okay, can you see that shared screen?
Yep, I can.
Okay, perfect. And I've got it on my side screen here, so I'll be looking back and forth from you over to there. But the first section, as you've probably already seen, I'll back it up because I was looking at it earlier. The first section is just a just an overview of it, and talks about progress is not perfection, and tells a little bit about how it's structured. But before we get going too far, I just want to really briefly recap what the 5 priorities are. So as you can see on the screen here, purpose, the vision to see, articulate, and go for a compelling future. The currency is integrity and inspiration. People, the level of health, productivity we have with our colleagues and connections, and the currency is encouragement and accountability. Pace, discerning how quickly or slowly the organization and its personnel need to move to sustain long-term success, maximize opportunities, and grow capital. The currency is time and energy. Perception, choosing a growth mindset and staying open to creative solutions and new ideas. The currency is insight and innovation. And then profit, the effective management, investment, and release of an organization's resources, and the currency is dollars and cents. So it's always interesting to go to page 5, where it has your 5 priorities, and in the left column is your actual order, and in the right column is the optimal order. So as you look that over, you have yours is purpose, and their optimal order is purpose. Your actual order is next people. The optimal order is people. Your next is profit. The optimal order is pace. Their next, your next one is pace. The optimal is perception, and your next one is perception, and your and the optimal is profit. So I'm curious what you thought about that order. What surprised you or didn't surprise you?
You know, I was surprised that the profit was up there a little higher than, I mean, that's important to me, especially as the director. But it isn't something, I'm not driven by that. You know, I of course have financial goals and expectations to meet. But if I meet them, that's great. And I, you know, I want to meet them, but it isn't like I'm going to meet them at all odds, because it's not that. And so I was surprised that was a little higher. I'm grateful that the purpose and the people, I feel like that's right, because I am pretty purpose driven. And the whole reason I'm a director is because I love the folks that we serve, and I want to teach others how to be good caregivers.
Right. Do you think it's possible that profit bumped up a little bit in this last year because of the uncertainty of COVID and everything?
Yeah, you know, I didn't think about that. That's probably true.
Yeah.
And it's something, you know, we've had to think more in the forefront about. I mean, it's always kind of in the forefront, but it it did hit our company pretty hard, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So
So you briefly mentioned purpose. Tell me what you think about purpose being number one. It shows that you're the most concerned about your purpose, and how does that connect to what's happening in your life right now? Why do you think it's number one, and does that make sense to you?
it does make sense to me. And I think it is number one because um, I mean, I say it as I can't help myself but love those living with dementia. Like, I just fall over myself with them because they're so awesome. I love them. And um, I love being a support to them, and being in an environment where we can, just because they can't remember something doesn't mean we can't really have a great birthday party for them. We celebrate big when we have birthdays. We sing every day. We make life meaningful and fun, and we laugh a lot. And my whole purpose is, that's what I want. I want to be someone who gives that to people living with dementia.
Yeah.
And I have a staff that I have a staff that have the same purpose. That's why they're there. They're not there just to take home a paycheck. There are lots of caregivers who really, it's a better paying job than, well, not so much anymore, but better paying job than McDonald's. Used to be. It's kind of now same, I guess, but
Right.
so it's I do think purpose is the forefront of what we do and in our building.
Yeah, that's awesome that you have purpose and people. I mean, you can tell that people are very important to you too. So
Yeah.
tell me about the bottom two. Why do you think they're at the bottom? The pace and the perception.
I'm not quite sure about perception. Pace, I think pace is at the bottom because, and I think that's more, I think it has a little bit to do with our company, but I think it has probably more to do with me. I tend to work longer and more. I've always just been a hard worker. I've always been, when I was a caregiver, I was the one that picked up the double shifts. I worked so many double shifts that I knew that 13 hours is when I hit my wall. I can work for 13 hours and keep going. But at 13, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm tired. So I did it enough to learn that. So I think I struggle to get out of that mindset that I don't have to do that. Like I can really quit at 8.5 hours, and it's going to be there tomorrow when I come back,
Right.
rather than, like I just got to keep going and get as much done as I can get done until I'm tired.
Right.
So.
Okay. And we briefly did talk about the middle already. Anything else that you want to tell me about the middle?
I don't.
That's fine. So for better or worse, do you think your leadership team has the same order?
I think my leadership team has more of the optimal order. I really do.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So talking about pace, I just don't, I like to be a leader who's there for my team, and I'm a part of the team, and I'm not a leader who just says, do this and do that. And like, I'm in there, I'm helping you. And it doesn't matter what needs done, floor needs mopped, I'll grab the mop, So I have an opportunity to go on vacation this next week. And I was really struggling with that because we're still in COVID, and, we're loosening up. Things are getting a little better, but I just am like, I just can't do that. I mean, my daughter asked me to go somewhere with her, and I just said, I just can't do that. And I talked, I said, all right, I'll ask my team, because she was insistent. And they're like, why would you not go? I said, well, because I don't, we're still in COVID. I don't know if I should do that. And they're like, go. If she's asking you to go with her, you need to go. Like, don't worry about us. We got this.
Right. That's awesome. So when was the last time that you had any type of conversation like this with your key players in your organization?
I've had other teams that didn't have that same mindset. They were like, no, you can't, like, no, we need you. We can't take time off. You're going to leave us to do this alone. And so I have had other teams that haven't had the same mindset, but the team I have is, uh, they're very, they're very okay with that.
That's awesome. So which of the 5 areas do you feel like you would need to focus on?
Tell me more about the perception.
Yeah. So it's a weird word for what it actually means when it's choosing a growth mindset and staying open to creative solutions and new ideas. And it's about insight and innovation. So like it says up there under number 4, it unleashes the intellectual and creative firepower that drives innovation and complex problem solving. So it doesn't surprise me that that is toward the bottom right now when you're in survival mode. You don't have time to be innovating and trying new things when you're just trying to keep your building open and flowing well. So in the optimal order, pace and perception kind of go hand in hand, and they come right after people and right before profit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, maybe a little work on perception and pace. I definitely think those are two my areas of need or opportunity.
Okay, yeah, because with pace, I mean, it's easy to go too quickly or go too slowly,
Right.
and not be able to sustain long-term success. So, okay, that's perfect. I don't know why I've got a tickle. So then moving down, you can see that there was all kinds of reflection questions. So that's where, I mean, like if you wanted to really dig in and spend some time developing an action plan, there's questions in there. And then on page 7, where it talks about understanding your score, and green is anything that you answered with a 4 or above was green. Anything with 2.6 to 3.9 was yellow, and anything with a 2.5 or below was red. And look at this, you don't have any red.
That's good news.
That is good news. So under engaging with each priority, each individual question that you scored out of the norm will have a read and reflect response. So you scored high in purpose and people. So even though there were a couple questions that you didn't score as high on, and there's of course areas for improvement, but for today, because we're short on time, we're going to skip to pace or perception, because that's what you said you were interested in working on. So for the purpose of this exercise, would you rather look at pace or perception for right now?
Let's look at perception.
Okay. So you can see as you scroll through here, in all of it, like if you had I'm getting to perception, but if you had a question that you scored lower on, they put it here with some things for you to reflect on. So let's just scroll up here till we find the perception. Okay, so one of the questions that you scored lower on was where employees have ideas, but they rarely get implemented. So if one is lucky, a solitary fantasy can totally transform 1 million realities. That was said by Maya Angelou. So is your company generally better at generating new ideas or making them actionable? It seems like most people in most companies are good at one or the other, but not both.
I think we're better at generating new ideas. Making them actionable sometimes is a struggle. And I think that's a bit of a company stance, as well as I struggle a bit with that as well. Even though one of the things that's really important to me, because I worked as a CNA for 27 years and experienced administration not even listening to us, not even asking. It's really important for me to ask. And then I struggle with sometimes actually implementing what they come up with,
Right.
And maybe it's taking what they suggest and molding it into something that's actionable that I struggle with, because you often what they suggest is not directly actionable. Sometimes it really is, but other times it's kind of, well, we can't quite do it that way, but maybe if we did this and this, we could, so I think
Right.
I think that is both a little on the company and on just our building and myself.
Okay. So then under respond, developing ideas and making them reality are both equally valuable. Forward motion comes from one, a good plan, and two, execution. Where does your company or team get stuck? First, examine the higher priorities of purpose, people, and pace. If any of these are unhealthy or misaligned, anticipate creative gridlock until the root issue is addressed. We don't have to, spend a lot of time really digging into that, but you can see where if you did dig into that, that could be helpful.
Right.
So that's just an example. Then this organization invests heavily in research and development. That was one of your questions that you scored lower on. I have budget dollars available for exploring new ideas, possibilities, or ways of doing things better. And I know that my insights and ideas are welcome. So just lots of things like if we were going to work together for an extended period of time and we had more than just this 20 or 30 minutes, we could really dig into there. So I just want to move on to show you the rest of this report. And that's the gap analysis. And you mentioned that early on where you said it was interesting how you perceive some things and how you perceive your company perceiving those things. And I thought it was really great here where it says on page 27, that perception is reality in the eye of the beholder. What we perceive to be real is our truth, whether it's objectively true or not. It's entirely possible, therefore, that something you thought to be true about yourself or the organization actually isn't true. So under all of these, you don't have very much gap between how you see yourself and how you see the company. So I didn't see any glaring red flags, or nothing came up saying that there was a big issue with any of those. And the verbiage underneath is interesting to read. Just for example, under the profitability gap, chances are you enjoy the perks of the job you're in. Within the company, people are paid well for their contribution. Furthermore, there's a high level of ownership and engagement among employees. People work hard and desire to see the company succeed. It's the best of both worlds. What can you do to maintain this important dynamic? So it's just a place that you can put your insights. And then it gets into the strengths and weaknesses in these matrices, I guess is how you say it. I think these are really fascinating. So there's 4 quadrants that you could be in if you were high or low. high or low on values and high or low on vision. So you were high in values and high in vision. So you were in the purposeful quadrant, which is the quadrant that you want to be in. But if you happen to be low in values, but high in vision, then you might be in status quo. But if you were low in values and low in vision, you might be declining. So it's just these are an interesting way to see it on a grid. Then with your people, you were high in health and productivity. So your people are empowered. I sometimes found myself high in health, like focused on the people, but not so much on the productivity. And I would find myself sometimes in the cozy culture. So that's all explained a lot better in the training that goes with this course. But and then under PACE, you are at least still in the sustainable and scalable section. You didn't get into the burned out, the relaxed, or the slow. So that was great. And even though your perception was lower, you're still in the innovative. You haven't gone off track or gotten complacent. And your profits, you're in the responsible category, not apathetic or anxious. So that was all good. And then then this is where it gives you for your action steps, things that you could do. So you can see if your priorities are out of order, it could put a ceiling on your organization. And the reason it's called the Prioritized Leader Suite is because along with this assessment, there is a whole training course that goes with it. And they call them snackable videos that come with each priority. There's like 37 short videos that are sticky and stirring and sticky and memorable and measurable. And in the last few minutes, I'd just like to just show you real quick. I think if I switch to this now, can you see where it says the Prioritized Leader video series? Yeah, I just wanted to show you real quick how involved this is. So there's all these modules. So there's your purpose, people, pace, perception, profit. If I click into one, then there's a workbook that can be downloaded. And then there's your 7 sessions under purpose. And when you click on those, then you get your little video. There's a 5-minute video. So it's all in real short little snippets that you can do at your own pace, or sometimes I do a mastermind group with this information, and then we all kind of work through it at the same pace. So I just wanted you to see what that looks like, just because there's so much more to it than just the assessment. But did you find value in this?
I did find value. It's helpful to have a tool to tell you, just like I think one of them mentioned, perception is your reality, and whether it's actually reality may or may not be true, So as a leader, the way that I think things are, it's nice to have a tool that says, this is how you're assessed.
Right. Right. And then to have your leadership team take it too, and then see how everybody sees the same thing. I mean, talk about perception, everybody sees things differently. So you can see how it could give your business a framework in a common language. And you can see that anybody could benefit from going so much deeper than what we had time for today. But I just want to thank you so much for the time that you did take today to do it. And if not just you, but anybody that's watching, if anybody is interested in taking this assessment or accessing the training videos, of course, they can just message me and I can hook you up. But thank you for being the guinea pig, the vulnerable one, the one willing to be exposed a little bit. And I mean, lucky for you, your priorities were all out of whack.
That's true. That's true.
It could have been a different story if
A little bit of risk there for sure, but I appreciate the opportunity, Monica. Like I said, it was valuable, and I really am grateful that you provided this opportunity for me. So,
yeah. Well, you'll be able to watch it on the Facebook page, so you can review and if you have any questions later, just ask me. I know we just like briefly went through it, but thanks so much for your time and have a great rest of the weekend.
all right. Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.